Did you know that on Christmas yesterday, the XRP Stochastic RSI dropped to zero on a 3-week chart? And that's the first time since 2022. That's impressive. Novogratz, of course, had something to say about it. We'll take a brief look at that as well. And the XRPL has flipped to a quantum safe signatures, future proofing the XRP ledger. That's very significant. And then we'll take a brief look at a price forecast for XRP, which is currently sitting at $1.84. We'll take a look at that and what that stochastic actually means, because this forecast has it forecasted for $5. Sounds doable to me. Let's talk about it.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right.
Hi, I'm DKWILL, and this is DKWILL Talk About It. And I want to thank you first for stopping by. I'm going to ask that at any point that you dig what I'm doing here, make sure you hit the like button. You really want to do me a fair one, subscribe and come back for more. Matter of fact, don't stop there. You can hit notifications so that you know when I put another video out. And if you just can't stand yourself, share my videos, circulate it, promote it, and give me some subscribers along with yourself. Because here we talk about changing your paradigm, not just understanding better the financial markets. And understanding the financial markets better will be necessary unless, of course, you utilize the services of a financial advisor. But otherwise, if you're expecting to make money in the crypto markets, the next step is, what are you going to do with your money? So understanding money a little better is a helpful thing. So we're going to talk a little bit about the fact that the XRP Stochastic RSI dropped to zero. And it says it's fallen to zero, a rare technical signal last seen in the 2022 bear market low, suggesting selling pressure may be drying up. The whales may be going to sleep. Now, it could be a head fake. They're known for that. But XRP is catching attention after a rare long-term technical signal appeared. The stochastic RSI on the 3-week time frame dropped to zero. What is the stochastic RSI? Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Let's go look and see what Novogratz had to say about it. This is a very short read. Galaxy CEO Mike Novogratz has changed his view on XRP, moving from doubt to investment, and commended the robust community supporting the asset amid the SEC lawsuit against Ripple. Yeah, if you've been here a while, you earned every stripe or bar or star you got. And he knows that. And he didn't change his view on XRP. He already knew what XRP was about. He was a part of a narrative to discourage the retail investors. And I'll stand by that, because just as much as they hype Bitcoin and Ethereum and act like that's the only solution to cryptocurrency, they are antiquated clunkers in some respects compared to XRP. Now, Ethereum does offer a network that you can patch into and make good use of it. Ripple and XRP are doing that as well. That's the interoperability that they've been talking about. But when they say they changed their view on XRP, nah, I don't believe that for one moment. So what is the stochastic RSI? Let's go back to the article first and see if they give a better idea of what it is, because I have one on deck if they don't. And if you like the content I'm providing, please make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications, and then come back for more DK Will Talk About It. It does say that it indicated that the bearish momentum has stalled on a macro level, so on the big scale. It doesn't guarantee immediate gains. The recurrence of such a rare condition could shift sentiment. Sentiment. We've been talking about that a lot lately, haven't we? Among market participants watching for potential cycle lows. Okay, now what I see is a danger zone, because it's hard to read this stochastic RSI results without thinking in one direction, a turnaround. And that's usually what happened. And earlier when I showed you the price, I also showed you this. This is the stochastic RSI right down here. And you'll notice when it drops real low, that's oversold. And look what happens right afterwards. It goes up. You see what I mean? It drops over here, it goes up. Here, not much action. Not much action. That was the discouraging moments. But zero? Which way do you go from here? You only go up. And when we take a look at what this stochastic oscillator RSI, known as the stock RSI, is a technical indicator used in financial markets to analyze an asset's price's momentum. It combines two popular indicators, the relative strength index and the stochastic oscillator, to provide traders a more refined tool for identifying potential trend reversals and overbought and oversold conditions. It's a momentum oscillator that measures the relative position of the RSI within its range over a specific period. And in this case, that specific period was on the 3-week chart. When to use that? Identifying overbought and oversold conditions. So in other words, if we're up here, we're overbought. That means it's probably going to go down. And look what happened. It went down. Here, it went down. Here, up here, it went down. So it's a refined tool, but it's pretty specific as to what one can expect. But in this market, I'm not sure anybody can really expect anything with certainty. It says when the stochastic RSI is above 70, it may suggest that the asset is overbought, signaling a potential price reversal, like I just mentioned. Conversely, when it's below 30, and went to zero, and we're still there, it may indicate oversold conditions, suggesting a potential buying opportunity. I've been screaming buying opportunity, and here's what I'm going to say about the buying opportunities that exist. Don't jump over dollar bills to pick up pennies. When XRP gets out of this range that it's caught in now, let's say it goes to $3.10. I'll just throw that out there. Maybe it parks there for a second. Are you going to care if you spent $1.88 or $1.84 for your XRP? You're not going to care about that 4 cents. What you're going to care about is the fact that you own it. And now it's $3.10. You owned it before it went to $3.10, and you bought it at $1.84 or $1.88 or $1.92 or $1.77 or $1.99. You're not going to care. Don't jump over dollar bills to pick up pennies. Let's finish it with this article here. Earlier, I mentioned how even Ripple is using Ethereum because of its inability to deal with the smart contract aspect of things. But this XRPL flips to quantum safe signatures, changes that. Aside from the fact that it makes XRPL quantum resistant to improve the security while expanding the DeFi opportunities on the main chain. We're going to talk about that just for a little minute here. Dennis Engel, a lead software engineer at XRP Labs, announced that the integration of the post-quantum cryptography and native smart contracts into AlphaNet, the project's public developer network. Now, I thought that Spark, which turned into Flare, was going to add that aspect to the XRPL back in the day. Apparently not. But nonetheless, it says most blockchain networks, including Bitcoin and Ethereum, secure user funds using elliptical curve cryptography. This math works because current computers find it impossibly difficult to reverse the calculation and derive a private key from a public one. However, this security model relies on the limitations of classic physics. Quantum computers operate differently, and quantum computers utilize qubits to perform calculations to multiple states simultaneously. And experts predict that a sufficiently powerful quantum machine running Shor's algorithm will eventually solve ECC problems, elliptical curve cryptography, in seconds. The AlphaNet update directly targets this vulnerability. In other words, future proofing the XRPL. According to Angel, the integration touches every vital organ of the XRPL anatomy. He described a comprehensive overhaul that introduces quantum accounts, quantum transactions, and quantum consensus. So even if an attacker possesses functional quantum hardware, they cannot find the path back to the private key. Meanwhile, quantum transactions secures the movement of funds. Every time a user sends XRP or another token, they sign it with a digital signature. This signature acts as the seal on the message. The new protocol mandates that these signatures utilize dilithium. This ensures that no machine can forge a user's approval. Dilithium is spoken of up here. It says here the AlphaNet update targets this vulnerability. Angel confirmed that the network now runs on crystals dilithium. The National Institute of Standard Technologies recently standardized this algorithm, now known as MLDSA, as the primary shield against quantum attacks. This shift to quantum resistance imposes distinct operational costs. That's the trade off. But what's important? Beyond security, the new update also addresses a critical competitive failure within the blockchain network. So maybe that use of Ethereum virtual machine ain't going to continue as much. Smart contracts fill the programmability gap that has held back the Xrpl for years. The network handled payments efficiently, but could not host the applications that pulled developers and liquidity toward Ethereum and Solana. Here comes the Ethereum and Solana Slayer people. That's what's going on. Now, do I think they're going to get slain? No. They're all going to be interoperable. However, the competitive advantage of Ethereum and Solana are disappearing, whereas the competitive advantage of Ripple and on-demand liquidity and the XRPL and the 3-second settlements is dominant. It says these ecosystems grew because they allowed markets, lending protocols, and automated trading to operate directly on chain. As a result, they have become the two most dominant platforms for DeFi activity in the industry. However, XRP lacked that capability, so activity stayed limited to transfers. The native smart contract on Alpha changes that dynamic. It introduces smart contract tools that let developers build directly on the base chain without side chains or external frameworks. These contracts tap into XRPL's existing features, such as the automated market makers, decentralized exchange, and escrow systems, giving builders room to create DeFi services that go beyond simple payment. That opens XRPL to new frontiers and lowers the barrier for teams familiar with existing smart contract languages. At the same time, it gives the network a way to compete for on chain volume without relying only on payment flows. Can you say all the money? Ripple is going to have the XRPL and on-demand liquidity and the asset XRP, and they are going to be the best equipped financial organization to deal with the direction of money in this modern era. And they will also be prepared for advances in quantum computing technology. I'm DKWILL, and this is DKWILL Talk About It. And I talked about it. Have a wonderful day.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right.